Okay, I think I am live. Um, the thing that I don't know if it's public or if it's not. It's not public. Okay. How do I set this to public? Visibility public. Done. Save. There you go. Okay, so now I'm live. What is this? I'm just gonna be doing some research. Let me turn off my audio. Re Okay, so I'm gonna be doing some research because I wanna rewrite the server side of Shiny and Rust. With what purpose? First because of fun. Just that I wanna say that I did it. It's kind of a main motivator. But I also think that for really performance sensitive apps, Rust is just a great language. Dealing with R and Python can sometimes be a little bit dreadful. So I think why not? I think writing Shiny is really pleasant. I think it's really fun. So why not bring that to a language that I also believe is a little bit fun? So yeah, why not? And I will learn more about Shiny in the way that could help me improve my skills over on the R side, and also well, that could help, I don't know, in the on the Python side it could also help. Who knows? It's just something for fun, also for the memes. Rust people love rewriting stuff, so why not rewrite Shiny and Rust? I mean, what's wrong with it? So yep, I don't know if anyone's gonna be watching this. I'm just gonna be like over here doing some research and kind of documenting my slow but sure progress along the way. I might quit in the middle, who knows? But yeah, so I'm just gonna like get started. So I'm currently on the main Shiny repository, the R Shiny one. Why not the Python one? Because the Python one has the pre-compiled um JavaScript for Shiny. And right now I'm not looking into rewriting the JavaScript side. That could be something in the future where we just do everything in WebAssembly, but that's not what I want to do right now. If you look at this right now, and you look at the Shiny, it's on the www shared folder. You can see the shiny.js, but this is the compiled version. Don't think this is like where the developers actually go and write their Shiny code. That's not how it goes. This is a 15,000 line file. Just ignore this. The actual source that compiles to this is over on the R Shiny repository on the source TypeScript. So this is using Shiny TypeScript definitions. Um, and here is like the actual code. So I'm not a big Node slash TypeScript developer much, but I do know my way around npm projects in Node. So I do know this is the code that compiles over to those JS files. And here we can definitely see like some of the things that we are gonna need to get started with this project. So I kind of have a roadmap. I know much of Shiny works through messages. So when you create a, and I don't know if I could connect my Wacom tablet so that I could like draw for you guys. I'm not gonna do that. I don't think it's necessary. But the way Shiny works is when you go into the website, the URL, the URI, you enter and some HTML is loaded, some JavaScript is loaded, and a WebSocket connection is established, and that WebSocket connection will stay alive for as long as the session it stays alive, and vice versa. So that WebSockets connection is how the backend or the server communicates with the UI side. So when your screen goes gray whenever you're using Shiny because your internet went off, or because I don't know, the server crashed, or you wrote a bug into your code, that causes the WebSockets connection to end, and therefore the session to end. And they send some messages, right? So um, I'm actually gonna open up a little thing I did on the PyShiny repository. It was a PR, it didn't get accepted, but it did start a discussion on the use of jQuery. This was basically something about using jQuery and other stuff. But these change, the only thing it was is adding a method so that you could run some arbitrary JavaScript code from the server on the client, right? So you parse or create the JavaScript code on the server, and then you pass that on to the client to run it, and you send that through a message. So, for example, here you can see that I use session, require active session, and then session, I send this method. And then, well, you can also use session on flushed. So you're basically just sending messages through the session. And that's kind of like what I want to research right now. Like that's just what I just want to like read over um the code of how Shiny works as a JavaScript as on the client side, and how it establishes the connection to the server, and how it receives and sends messages back and forth between the two. That's kind of like the main thing I wanna research right now, because if I can understand very well how the client um requires messages to be sent, and how it requires, and how a connection is first established, how a session is created. If I can understand all of that stuff, I think it's not going to be that hard to set up a mock server that replicates a very, 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 very basic Shiny app using the Shiny client side stuff, CSS, JavaScript, whatever. Um, that's the main thing that I want to do. So then, after I can create like a really, really basic mock Shiny app where, like, okay, I got the client to communicate with the server with the WebSocket session, and maybe by like sending inputs, and maybe sending and running some arbitrary JavaScript so that I know, okay, the server can run JavaScript on the client. If I can understand how that works and get that running, I think I can start building like building the building blocks. I think so that's redundant, but doesn't matter. So I can start building, for example, on the Rust side, macros that help me abstract that process, right? Because if I'm going to be building the WebSocket server, writing WebSocket server is very different from writing Shiny apps over on the R side, or on the now Python side. So it's very, very different. But if you look at how PyShiny kind of works, and not how it works like how it works, but how you write apps on the PyShiny side. Here on the examples, I'm gonna take whatever CPU info, for example. I don't know, app.py, for example. Um, Ignoring the UI part, when building the server side, you put kind of like these. I don't know how they're called, if they're also called macros. But you kind of define like, okay, this reactive calc, reactive effect, reactive event. This is what in on the Rust side you could call a macro. And what's a macro on the Rust side? A macro is telling the compiler how to manipulate some syntax. So if I look up Actix Web, um, you could see like some examples. So if you can see right here, um, yeah, I think you can see it over there. Yep. So over on the Actix side, you can define some macros to get to define this async function um, as some sort of endpoint on your server. So if you were to write this from scratch, it would be way harder because I mean this macro definitely does a bunch of stuff, but this definitely abstracts that process. It makes it way easier for me to build basic web services with Rust. Like here you can see Actix main, for example. Other examples of if we look up Rocket um, for Rust. If we look up Rocket, which is another web framework on Rust, we can see again like the use of macros, get, launch, and that's kind of like what I'm going after. I want to be able to set reactives as macros and observers as macros and all of that stuff. Like all of the things we love about Shiny and all of stuff, like as macros. Um, so that I can build cool web apps much more quickly in Rust with great efficiency and check types and all of that stuff on compile time. On the chat app I built on PyShiny, I try to stay as type safe as possible using the built-in Python type hints. I think they're called type hints. Yeah, using the type hinting, but type hinting isn't actual like validating on the compile time. Like it's not even taken into account at runtime. You could run it through MyPy, I think it's called, and it's gonna try to validate and check for type safety, but it's not as it doesn't go as far as Rust goes in terms of type safety. So that's what I want to do. Once I get a basic, really basic Shiny app, quote unquote Shiny app working, I want to start building the macros needed to abstract that process and turn that into something that's actually usable. So that's kind of the roadmap, kind of my plan. Is it a good plan? I honestly have no idea. I don't know if it's been worth doing it. Considering the fact that well, there exist other frameworks in Rust, but I do believe the developer experience for Shiny is really great, and um, I wish to bring it to a even greater language. That's kind of like what I want to do. I think both R and Python are very limited in terms of performance and in terms of developer experience. Yeah, pretty much that's it. So yeah, I kind of want to get started on how it works. So going back to the Shiny main repo, um, there's multiple parts that we're gonna want to take into account. So first, how the JavaScript, how the client requests and establishes a connection with the server. And I also want to check on the R side how it's simple how it accepts that, right? How if there's any headers specific that it returns or what's going on in that connection, in the establishing of that connection. That's the main thing that I want to like get done in this. So do I have enough battery on my laptop though? It says 95%. Doesn't say it's charging. It worries me because I'm streaming, and streaming usually takes up a bunch of CPU. But I am using GPU acceleration, so I don't think it's going to be much of a problem. And then also docked, so I don't know why it says it's not charging, but that's right. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm gonna go over to the source TypeScript subdirectory or directory inside the repository, because there's the actual client side code. So in here we can see like type definitions for TypeScripters. We can see patch, which it's yarn patches. We can see extras build, which is, I guess, how it's going to be built. And here in source, in the actual source code, there's many other folds. So bindings is what takes, I believe, the raw HTML inputs and turns them into shiny inputs, right? So I think I might show an example of how like an HTML is binded, but there's also a bunch of documentation in that sense. So if I look up shiny HTML hole, maybe that's how I could find it. So yeah, build your entire. So this is like an article and building your entire UI with HTML. Um, I believe this is what binding refers to. Binding, yep, bind. This is definitely what bind. Yeah, shiny binds. Yeah. So it takes the HTML with like the input and like the basic HTML and turns it into shiny, into things that can communicate with the backend. Um, so I'm gonna go into the shiny one, into the shiny directory, and here I got a modal, notifications, React log, reconnect dialog. This could be something that like how it tries to attempt a reconnection. That could be something that could be cool. Send image size, shiny up the TypeScript. So first I'm gonna go look at the init that TypeScript. Let's see what it does here. Init shiny. So this is a function shiny. It's void, so it returns nothing. Set shiny object window shiny, constant shiny app, window shiny app, new shiny app. So this is, I'm guessing, from the file shiny app.ts. And if when it tries to establish a connection, input submit, input submit dot each this that click prevent default, inputs validate the creator, window shiny set input value, window shiny on input change. So this is what actually makes and I'm guessing this is, yeah, this is on the shiny that inst and init.ts. This, where is this method defined? Oh, um on input change. Okay. I'll look at that later. So this, I'm guessing, sends the message back to the server on when inputs are, yeah, with inputs that set input. And I'm guessing event occur. Okay, I'm gonna take a look. But right now I'm trying to look for when a connection is established. Because right here it's just adding on click, it's adding different. So this is like the actual binding. Input type submit. Okay. Initialize inputs. Yeah. Plot output. Font. Do set theme. Do send down. Shiny bound output is hidden. Is there something about connection? Okay, so this is the connect, maybe. Okay, so connect is mentioned 6 times. Let's go through the first one. Initialize inputs. The input return values returned by bind all each have a structure like this: value and options. We want to only keep the value. This is because when initial values is passed to shiny app.connect, the shiny app object stores the initial value subject for the duration of the session, and the ops may have referenced the DOM, which would prevent it from getting garbage. Okay, from this is memory safety stuff in terms of garbage collection. We've collected all initial values and started the server process. So inputs no resend, reset initial values, shiny app.connect, and it sends the initial values on the connection. Okay. On document one shiny connected function. Okay. So I'm guessing we need to go to this method, shiny app.connect, and this is on the shiny app.typescript file. So let's go to the shiny app.typescript file. So it's this one. Import from jQuery, import escape, imports a bunch of stuff. So function add message handler. So this is what I was speaking of about messages, and I think this is something that we need to pay attention to. To categories of message handlers. Those are from Shiny and those that are added by the user. The Shiny ones handle messages in message object values and message object that errors and so on. The user ones handle messages in object.custom.foo and okay. So custom message handlers adds Shiny internal message handler. So function add message handler type string and handler. If message handler type handler is much already added. Handlers must be a function. Okay. This is for adding custom message handlers. And this is like okay. So this is the actual Shiny app class. Socket is a Shiny WebSocket equals null. Okay. Config, input values, initial input, bindings, cached values, errors, conditional bindings, pending messages, active requests, allow reconnect, constructor this init, connect. So the connect method takes in the initial input values, and it returns nothing. It's a void function. So if this.socket already connected, this.socket it equals create socket. Okay. We'll take a look at this function later. So this.initial input equals initial input. Then it extends this input initial value. Okay, and this update conditionals. Okay. So right here we do create the socket connection. This is just to test if it's connected and reconnect. So this function can be invoked directly even if there's a scheduled reconnect to be sure to clear any such scheduled reconnects. So this just recreates the socket connection. And it sends again the initial values. Is there a difference here? Initial input. So this just places the current input values as initial values. So that's how it reconnects. It just sets the values to whatever it is right now and just connects again. Okay. Create socket. So this is a function that we're interested in. Create socket, Shiny WebSocket, const create socket func, Shiny WebSocket equals get Shiny create socket. Okay. So let protocol equals WebSockets. Window.location.protocol equals HTTPS protocol WSS. Okay, so if the user is connected through HTTPS, it will use WebSocket secure. Okay. let default path equal path name, sorry. Some older web, okay. This is a very confusing regex. Again, okay. So this takes the default path, window.location.path time. So that's something I want to test out. Okay, so if I do, let me zoom this in. I think that would be useful. And my face is blocking. There you go. So let's do window.location.path name. So this gives us the path slash. So yes, this is the path to whatever we are, excluding the hashtag, the what do you call that, like the identifier. Okay. So we take the default path. We take the protocol, which is like the window.location.protocol. So yeah, HTTPS. So it turns that, because we're in HTTPS, it would take that and turn it into WSS, which is WebSockets secure. And it passes on this default path through this regex. Okay, and then it takes default path and adds a slash. And then it adds WebSocket slash. So, okay, let's replicate it. So if I do default path and set this equal to window.location dot path name, right? That's default path. So if we take default path and we add, well, we concatenate a slash, and then we concatenate WebSocket, WebSocket, right? Okay. So that would be the path to the WebSocket server. So that's something to keep in mind. In our server, in a Rust server, the endpoint to start the WebSocket connection would be this. So let me actually, let me do something. I'll go into projects. I'm gonna create it just with Python, just to be quick. Example. Let me go into example and let me shiny run. Let me run this. Okay. So now if I go to localhost 8000, or is it 8080? I forgot. Oh, localhost 8000. I should have the shiny app, right? So let me do something. If I do telnet localhost 8000, says connected to localhost, sending messages, this just doesn't work. The thing is, if I do slash WebSocket, how can I test the WebSocket connection? Okay, but the thing we need to know right here is that the WebSocket server lies on the WebSocket endpoint. Then const shiny WebSocket equals new WebSocket protocol plus slash slash plus window allocation dot host plus default path. So our shiny app will run on our default path, on our location, on our host, on our normal host, with WebSockets on WebSocket. And then it's going to return the WebSocket. Okay. So what does it do with this create WebSocket? Come on. It's blocked by client. What do you mean blocked by client? There you go. Okay, so this gets taken over to shiny.create WebSocket. It's this socket. Okay, and then with this socket, what do we do with this socket? So let me look up wherever it says this socket. On disconnect, send a message. Okay, so this is how it sends messages back to the server. If this socket.ready state, this pending message push message, else send message. Okay, and how does it send a message? Um, what's the message here? Like, what are we sending? What's the format? How does it look? Um, let's look for somewhere where it uses send message. Let me look for the, okay, so here, set input. Send input values void const message equals JSON stringify method update data values this dot send message. Okay, so it just sends the JSON, and the WebSocket server needs to interpret that JSON and bind on the server side the inputs. We could do that with a hash map and like a mutex, so that we could asynchronously take in messages. That could work. Okay. Um let's see. I really want to, I've never, okay, let's see. Let's see what we can use for that. So there's a program called TailSocket. Is it available for Linux? See a lot of Mac OS, but I don't really see. Okay, it's a Go program. Hasn't been updated in 3 years. Okay. WebSocket connection. Linux. Okay, so apparently it's just a Go program. And apparently it's like the best solution, so let's just install it. Let's see how it goes. So go get, I don't have Go installed in this computer. No, I'm not installing Go. It's not happening. Um, let's see. So apparently Postman supports WebSocket APIs, but I don't use Postman. Um, okay. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to install Postman then. I also had a, let me see if it supports it. Um, All these projects are dead. Yeah, so Insomnia doesn't support it. Just gonna get Postman then. Okay, Postman. Download Postman. Linux 64-bit. Um, can I just get it on software? Postman. Yes, I can. FlatHub install. Okay. How long have I been live? 37 minutes. All right. Gonna do an hour and then I'm leaving. I just want to establish the WebSocket connection to the Shiny server as it's written right now in R, and like kind of start reverse engineering kind of how it works. So I guess I can add connection. How do I add APIs? Collections. I can add a request. Post. Yeah, I okay. I need to collections new. Okay. You need to be in a workspace. Okay, let me sign in then. If anyone knows a tool, and if anyone is watching up to this point and knows a good tool for testing WebSockets, I would really appreciate. Like, really. Okay, so I created a workspace, WebSocket request. So this would be WebSockets, right? Localhost 8000 slash WebSocket. So let me run the app again. Shiny run, right? Okay. 403 forbidden. Python 3 WebSockets. Okay, that's the server. That's correct. That is indeed a starting point. Could not connect to WebSockets localhost 8000. Okay, do I get any? No, I don't get any. Okay. So let's look back at the code. So when I connect the WebSocket, yeah, so here in the create WebSocket, do this WebSocket, right? Do I need to put a slash? I don't know. That's definitely not it. Okay, that was it. That was the whole thing. Okay, so now I'm connected to WebSocket, right? So now I can send messages to the server. So to Shiny, well, not to Shiny. To this, yeah, to Shiny, right? To Shiny, I'm basically connected. So okay, I'm gonna edit this little app. So input n, right? So here I'm just gonna put a print input n. That's all I'm gonna do. So if I run the app and I go into localhost 8000, should print 20. Yep. Okay. So I'm closing this just so you guys see I'm clearing my terminal. Clear. Let me run it. Let me establish the connection. Right. Connect. I'm connected. Now let's see how we can send a message. So send message. Right. When is it used? Send message, and here it's set. Okay. So it JSON stringifies this, right? Method update data values. How does this look? That's the question. How does this values look? So values is an input values type. I'm guessing I could find that in the types source initialize window utils bindings input binding. No. So this is a numeric input, right? So let's look up numeric number. Input value, input value, input value. No, no, no. This is not it. Yeah, I don't think it's in bindings. Events, input policies, input, index, input values, input values, input values. Okay, let's look it up. Like just, it's a search-based lookup. Try again with a precise view, search-based. No. Okay, so this values. Where is send input used? No. Okay, let me just, I'm gonna clone the repo so that I can look at it on my computer. I think would makes things, projects, git clone this. Yeah, I think that's just gonna make things easier. cd shiny, and let me cd into source TypeScript. Do I have my language server up and running for TypeScript? Shiny app. I'm guessing I do. But maybe I don't. Can't find jQuery corresponding type declaration. Yep, okay. I definitely have my language server, which is good. It's really good because that's probably going to help me out a lot. Okay, so we need to look for send message, right? Or set input. Set input, right? Or is it send input? Send input, okay. So where is this send input used? Let's do a send input. Input policies. So this, that shiny ad, send input current data, okay. Send now. So what is this current data? This the data pending. No. So let's look send input. So again, it's used right here in the class shiny app as send input. Wait, it's not send input. Create socket. Okay, so let's look at it more carefully. So this is a private called send now. This is set input, which makes sense. It's called send now. That's kind of like what I was trying to get at. Set input, right? Okay, so what does the current data look like? This that pending data, name type equals value. Here name type is a string. So here when it says name type, I don't know what it refers to. If it refers to, I'm guessing that's the actual input name. Okay, let's go. Let's do this. We're gonna right here. We're gonna console.log message. That's what we're gonna do. But we would need to recompile this whole thing. Which I don't think that's very much something I want to do right here in this live stream. Maybe later, maybe in another stream where I have more free time. I don't want to go to sleep. Okay, so this values. It's this. This dot pending data name type equals value. When it does send now, it sends current data equals this dot pending data. So I'm guessing it would look something like this. Oops. So let's open up whatever and inspect it. Go to the console like this. Let me actually take it on a separate, like that. Perfect. Okay. So if I do JSON.stringify, that will turn my is it JSON.stringify, right? That will turn whatever JavaScript object into a JSON, into valid JSON. So if I here put an object, this is in JavaScript an object. If I put here a value, ID equals 1, this will turn it into the corresponding JavaScript. JSON, sorry. So going back here. Okay, doesn't matter anymore. Here I have a method update. So it would look like this, and then values is like a sub, like a sub object, something like that, which would look like this pending data, right? Because in this dot pending data, name type equals value. If you do that in JavaScript, maybe I could open Node. Okay, yeah, let's do the Node. And okay, if here I do, for example, temp data equals an object, whatever object. So if I do temp data, it's an object. If I do temp data in here, put whatever value, hello, and I set it equal to world, right? Temp data now is this object, right? So if I do another object where method equals update, right? Where method equals update, and what else is there in this object? And data equals temp data, right? This should look something like this. And I'm going to set this to my request, to my message. Let's set it to message. So now if I do json.stringify message, this is it. This is what I need to send. This is the message I need to send. Of course, in this connection, I'm looking not to send hello, but n, and the value to a number. Let's say 10. Okay, let's send this. Disconnected. Invalid method for the current session state. Okay, but that's something. We're getting somewhere, right? In this case, I guess it wouldn't be method update. Is there another method? Because here I'm sending an input. That's the weird part. Okay, let's go back to the app. Let's open up Chrome again and go back to localhost 8000. So if I do, put this right here. If I do shiny dot set input value, what does it do? Var options. It does inputs that set input value. And what is this default options? Default opts. Default input opts. Yeah, so this validity decorator. So what I need is to replicate this. So inputs dot set input name value new option, right? That's what I need to. What I want to do is be able to send a message to update whatever. That's what I want to do. The thing that I don't know and that I need to read more carefully the code behind this is when you establish the connection. Establish. When I establish a connection, is there an additional message that is sent that for whatever reason I'm not that I need to send before anything else? Okay, so let's see. Socket unopened has happened. Okay, but this is once it's opened. And again, that create socket function, right? Which is the protocol, which is what we just defined, right? It doesn't send a message here. So the first thing it does is it triggers this, but this seems to be jQuery, so it's something client side. And then it does this unconnected. So let's look out for unconnected. Unconnected, shiny disconnect overlay dot remove, hide reconnect dialog. Okay. And then it sends this message, method init, with some initial value. And I'm guessing this initial value looks the same as, just I remember I saw a comment with initial value. We've connected all initial values, init values, init value. Remember it had where was it? Where it showed the, but I'm guessing initial value. Initial value. What do you mean didn't find it? It's initial input. Maybe it's this one. Initial input. Yeah, initial input's hard. It's not initial value. Initial input, initial input, initial input. So right after creating the socket. Okay. So let's just send a message with the method init. So instead of method update, method init and data. Okay, so let's close the app, clear this up. Not node. shiny run, right? Let's try to do this. Let's connect again and send this message. Okay. Values, input mess. Now, if we do update, it's not doing anything. But it's not closing the connection. So look, now we have config, worker ID, session ID. Then we sent this, right? And what did it give back? Input messages, errors, values. Okay, so this is not how the initial values look. Values. Show. Let's look up input values. It's a key string. Okay. So input values look like this. A key and a value. Makes sense. It's pretty much how we're sending our request right here. Create socket and it sends. Okay, the question right here that I have is how could that data look? Because here it says this dot initial input, right? But this initial input, am I missing something? Initial input is just literally input values. I think I'm missing something. Input values at initialization and reconnect. Makes sense, right? I don't know what I'm missing. It's probably something really trivial. Hmm. Blobs, Internet Explorer. We have binary data transfer. Narrow scope component. Input keys use name type format. We don't want to use her. I remember it had something to do with options. So it's definitely not in this one. Maybe on init. Okay, here. Input values returned by bindall each have a structure like this. We want to only keep the value. This is because the initial values is passed to shiny app.connect. Yes, that's what we just looked at. The shiny app object stores the initial values object for the duration of the session, and the options may have references to the DOM. So const initial values literally just returns. It does a map and returns just the value. That's the thing that I think is really weird that I don't quite understand is why is it not like why is this when I try to initialize the session. Disconnected, right? Because we already had connected. So let's connect again. Returns a work ID. Method init data equals n is 10. Do I need to send us this as a list of objects? Is that it? Is it this dumb? Okay. It ended. Object has no attribute items. Okay. Is this items? Is that what I need to do? Is that it? Is that the answer? Let's connect and send it. Okay. But again, it returns values, nothing, input messages, nothing, errors, nothing. But it should be printing input n. That's the part that I don't quite understand. And that I can't seem to figure out from the code. Okay, now let's look at the server side of things. So that let's see if we can figure out how our studio Shiny. Oh, that was hard. Okay, let's just go and put here Shiny. If someone at our studio could help out with this, that would be really cool. Hooks, input, runner, run app, serializer, server input handler, server.r, maybe no. Clients, Shiny server, decode message, create app handlers, Shiny session new, WebSocket. Okay. So what is WS? WS is function, Shiny shared secret. Okay, do I need to send a secret then? So let's see. Okay, let's check this again. Create app handlers. Oh no, but this is for if this value is not non-null, must be present on all HTTP and WebSocket requests of the Shiny shared secret header, or else it will be denied. Auto reload. Call back. Shiny observer. Shiny session new. WebSockets. Apps by token. Set showcase. Message handler. So this is what we saw. Two is transition from WebSocket base code. Should be removed. Set up a restore context for client data. There, I don't know. That part is okay. So let's look at this session new. Where's this Shiny session part coming from? I'm guessing the R folder, session, mock session, reactives. Okay, so let's go into the mock session one. Mock error, maker, make line data, extract, wait for it. Yeah, so this is not what we need. Unended, unflushed, file URL, set inputs. Okay, let's look for the Shiny session. When is this class defined? Here. Shiny.r. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's go into the code. cd.mvim shiny session equals, here it is, WebSocket any invalidate connect. Where's the method? Connect 17. Allow reconnect on session ended. Where the how is it that the connection is established? Freeze value. Oh, the linting. It hurts. Make scope. Now start timing. Initialize WebSocket. So this is the new method. File upload context, reactive values. Okay, yeah. This credentials part is definitely socket request, send private message, session ID token. Okay. I definitely am a little bit lost in reverse engineering this little piece of how the initialization of the, because I mean I'm able to initialize a session. Well, not a session, but a connection, right? If I could just register, let me network this and reload. Wait, where did my, okay. So let's go into localhost 8000. Let's inspect it, bring it over here. Go to network. And let's clear this and let's reload. There you go. Everything happened here. Okay, let's look into this. So right here, localhost, this is the HTML file. I'm guessing this is where connections start being established. Or no, actually not. This is where the dependencies are downloaded. And then over here at the 180 millisecond mark, auto reload. Okay, but where is the WebSockets connection? If I do this, where did it go? So this is sent to the WebSockets. Let's disable auto reload. Let's clear this up. Reload right here. Okay. It's localhost. That's right. Shiny.js. Yep. Just downloads all the things. And over here, oh, don't select this. Stop. Mhm. It's the HTTP server. Where is the WebSockets connection? I send this. Your WebSocket. Where? Messages. Okay. Method init. Okay, here we have, this is what we need. Let me clear this up. Let's get it started again. WebSocket. Okay, so it sends the first message. Method init data and 20. Yeah, this is exactly what. Let me copy this message. Let me connect with Postman. Connect. Let me dissect this message a little bit more. So method init data, right? 20 client data output text hidden false. Client data protocol, HTTP localhost. If I send this, now it returns stuff. Okay. Let me close this. Okay, there's a little bit more info. That's the options part that I was talking about that just couldn't figure out. Okay, so let's take a look at something. Let's go back to app. So here, this is a render text. So let me put here instead a reactive dot effect. Put here reactive so that I can have a little bit more context. Reactive dot effect, right? Yeah. Argument of type cannot be assigned to a parameter of type function. Do you mean? Module is not callable. Call event input.n. I need to do this? No, I just totally forgot how the reactive effect works on PyShiny, so that we can just keep doing it here. Reactive effect is what I want. Reactive effect, reactive. Yeah, this is. So I don't I don't see the problem. Okay, that's just linting. I don't think I actually have an error. Okay, I don't actually have an error. Okay. So let's do this. So let's establish our connection. So now here, this output text hidden, I don't think we need this. Right? Because we don't have that anymore. Right? Client data, this, goodbye. We don't need it anymore. Client data pixel ratio, I don't think we need that either. Goodbye. Client data URL protocol HTTP. I think we didn't need that. Client data URL hostname. I think we need that. The port. We also client data. I think all these other things we need. Okay. It printed 20. I think we did it. Okay. Let's clear it up. Just invalidate that we did it. Connect. Send. Printed 20. Perfect. Now let's send the update one. Update. I think with update, we can now remove all this stuff because I don't think we need it. Right? Because let's put 21. 21. There you go. Okay. If we send in here, hello world. Hello world. There you go. There you go. Okay. So now what I'm going to do next time I live stream, I'm going to try to replicate this really, 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 really basic WebSocket server so that I can accept these messages and try to establish some sort of input on the UI. Let the user put that input, right? And literally just replicate this. Now I know, and I think you guys now understand this WebSocket thingy. Now I can put in here whatever value. Goodbye stream, right? Goodbye stream. Can send it. Boom. We got it. Perfect. I think that's awesome. Kenny did it. It's really it's not really a big accomplishment, but trying to get into like how stuff works can be a little bit hard. It's my first time really going this deep and like trying to work backwards on how Shiny works. So I think this is pretty cool. Okay, so I think that's gonna be all for the stream. Next time I'll try to replicate this really, really small server on the raw side. Then I'm gonna start working on creating the sessions. And again, getting those messages to function. And I think that's gonna be it for now. Okay, see you later.